It's me again, Crumpet, and today we're going to be having a chat about Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty ending, specifically my chosen ending, and then I thought it might be nice to take a look at the other endings available in this DLC and how they impact the main game's ending. Now, as you can imagine, this contains heavy spoilers for the DLC, so let this be your spoiler warning tune. I love a good story, and for me, one of my main factors in rating a game's true impact is how good and well told the story is. Phantom Liberty stays true to the cyberpunk themes of grey tones and blurred lines, and to quote Johnny Silverhand, there are only good choices and shitty ones. Throughout my playthrough, I struggled a lot on who to side with and quote unquote trust. Reed, for all intended purposes, means well, but I can't help but think he's blinded by his service record and commitment to an entirely flawed and corrupt NUSA and FIA. Then we have Songbird, an individual who, for right or wrong, got caught and had no other choice but to join an organisation and be used as a weapon. Not to mention having a very rocky relationship with Reed, already being an old apprentice of his. As an aside, I'd like to make a shout out for Jacob and Taylor, two tombs that happen to stumble on the safe house where Myers is being kept. The fate of these two only dawned on me when I returned to the safe house for them not to be there after not long receiving a message from Reed that they have been taken care of, and me naively thinking that meant my guy Jacob received his brand new ride. However, upon returning to the safe house, I couldn't help but come across the exact same weapon that Jacob used lying on the floor. Very suspicious. This ultimately led to the first major decision for Phantom Liberty, helping Songbird escape or allowing Reed to catch her in the mission Firestarter. At this point in time, and after a lengthy chat with Songbird prior to this, I couldn't help but see the similarities between her and V, both being forced into a situation beyond their control and having to react to a pretty crappy scenario, accompanied with the fact that there was an awful lot of dodgy vibes coming from Reed and Myers. It felt like you could potentially help someone out after acknowledging the similarities between you. The following mission wasn't entirely difficult, but Songbird certainly took a major hit in the process. The consequence of this choice leads to a very exciting airport mission that truly defines the NUSA, FIA, and their handling of situations. This honestly made me realise I had chosen wisely and solidified my justification, that of course to be determined whether right or wrong shortly, but at the time I was confident. Then Songbird proceeds to tell us some very interesting information about the neural matrix, and essentially that the cure is a one-time only fix. I mean, feel free to say we told you so. But this leads to an interesting fork in the road, because even though we now know the truth of the matter, we still have the fate of Songbird in our hands. At this point, I did feel a bit duped, but still kind of hoped that this was the right decision. My only concern at this point was, surprise surprise, having a final showdown with Reed at the shuttle. Like, it was so obvious this was going to happen, but it was still very cool. I don't think I've ever spent so long thinking about a decision in a game before. I was really mulling it over. I actually didn't really like the fact that I had no time to consider it. Like I say, this DLC is very grey and the lines of right and wrong are very blurred. Begrudgingly, I couldn't shoot Idris Elba. He's a British icon and the cool uncle you never had. So I decided to hand Songbird over in the hopes that Reed will look after her, but on the realisation that she will probably be a puppet for the FIA, even more so than before, and never be a free bird again. The only positive from this being that with Songbird handed over, and with time to learn and understand the neural matrix, V may be cured of the relic. Honestly, after this ending I wasn't too happy, and immediately regretted not sending Songbird to the moon. That's not a pun, by the way, that's where she was heading to get her treatment. But in these situations with gaming, I do like to commit and put aside a save for another time. These choices ultimately resulted in the King of Swords ending for Phantom Liberty, which ends up leading to the Tower ending of the main game. The remaining three endings are as follows. King of Wands. This is the ending I probably should have gotten with my choices, siding with Songbird but bolting at the last minute, whereby I let Songbird escape to the moon after dealing with Reed. No cure, kind of, I'll come back to that. However, Alex will still be alive and head to Monte Carlo, which is nice. King of Cups. To achieve this ending you will need to side with Reed in Firestarter. i.e. extracting the neural matrix and complete the additional missions with Reed to capture Songbird. The next major decision is to endgame Songbird in the mission Somewhat Damaged, as per her wishes. This is considered the worst ending, as it essentially roods the player with 5,000 eddies, and Alex will also not be around. King of Pentacles. Similar to the King of Cups, you will need to side with Reed in Firestarter, but after catching up with Songbird in Somewhat Damaged, you need to keep her around and working for the FIA. Alex again will also not be around. But this ending is essentially the other side of the coin. In a sense, you receive a fancy medal, but now you are able to get the tower ending and cure V. Now, the tower ending as a result of either King of Swords or King of Pentacles leaves V in quite a predicament. They can no longer use any form of cyber air, and due to the extensive procedure undertaken, have actually been in a coma for 2 years. This is where a lot of fans have had strong complaints and controversies. The vast majority of V's friends, romances and colleagues have just given up on them completely. It's only really Misty that gives a damn, and as much as Victor was pleased to see him, or her, is now living an entirely different corpo life. So as you can tell, it's a very tough pill to swallow. Now sadly, more people are frustrated by the fact that even though you are just an average chum on the street now, you do get given an opportunity by Reed to work for the FIA and live a very normal, well, normal as far as Cyberpunk goes, office lifestyle. Sadly, I do think V wouldn't have much choice in this and would have to accept this offer, but unfortunately the game developers haven't put this in the game to accept and kind of put the story to rest. I did see a suggestion that V could maybe be a fixer, and I initially thought this was actually quite a good idea until someone pointed out that along this main story that V has gone through, they have made quite a few enemies, and now knowing that V is not necessarily weak, but definitely doesn't have that added punch of cyberware, they may become a very easy target. So I think it really does come down to your own headcanon and what you think is best for V. As I said before, it's very grey. But that's all from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's helped in some way. I think we all need a bit of a moment to process V's new lifestyle. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty has been fantastic. I've loved all of it and I think it's a fantastic DLC. I do still stand by my suggestion in my previous video that you could probably still wait a little longer. There have been a few issues with update 2.01, but it's quite mild and you can still play it absolutely fine. But I do think if you want to wait a little longer, we've got tons of games coming up. I can't believe Spider-Man 2 is coming out this week. Seriously, just like, I don't know how big YouTubers do it, to be quite honest with you. But with that, that's going to be all from me, and I hope you have a great day.